G'day. So another quick video just to outline firstly how to install your new bypass cable. This is my very dirty DS Express, as you can see. So we're going to use this one as the model to show the installation instructions. I do provide instructions to install onto DT as well, and I'm working on getting a hold of one so I can actually take a video of how I install it. So very quickly, Alpha OBD, bypass cables, a lot of info going on. I do apologise to everybody and for the delay in getting back to some of you, but please don't ever hesitate in sending a photo or a message rather, just to say, hey, what does it do? How does it work? More than happy to talk it through and let everybody know what the benefits are, and you can decide whether it's something that you want to do or not. Okay, so as I said, DS model. Now I have just jumped ahead a little bit and pulled my glove box out. Just for anybody that doesn't know how to do it, when it's sitting up in there, if you just squeeze this bit in like that, just a fraction, it's just enough to let that drop down like that so you can get access. Now, a fair few people would be familiar with this. This is the bypass cable that I supply. So OEM quality, it's all wrapped up, it doesn't look out of place, it's plug and play, and that's the best bit about it in my opinion. So what I'm going to do is show you where it goes and how to fit it. I'm actually going to do this just basically, I'm going to plug it in and then run it over the dash, but I'll do a proper installation video of pulling the dash apart and all that sort of stuff, and I'll upload that as well. But for now, we're just going to focus on plugging it in, getting it working, and what you can actually do with it once it's done. Okay, so as I said, DS model, we're in the front passenger seat here. We've dropped our glove box. Pardon my light just there, but it will make this next bit easier to see. So look under here and look up in, and I'm sorry, I hope you can see it. There they are. This is what you are looking for. You will see a green and white connector block with lots and lots of wires going into it. That is where this cable plugs in. Again, as I've mentioned in previous videos, forget security gateway. You have no need to go anywhere near that. This is 100% plug and play right here. Now, just for reference's sake, this connector block on a DT model is actually located on the other side of the dash, and that is why the DT cables are not as long as the DS ones, but the theory is still the same. So I'm going to try and do my best one-handed here to actually plug this in. I don't have a bypass cable installed in this. I've pulled it back out so I can do it right from scratch. So this is what you would expect to see on your car if you haven't yet installed it. So all we need to do is grab your two ends of your bypass cable, which is this end here, this end here. Now the good thing on the DS's is that, as you can see, they're two different connectors, so you really can't muck it up. They will not physically go in the wrong ports. So all you are doing is grabbing both and just plugging them in to any available port on these connector blocks. So again, I do apologize. I'm holding the phone with one hand and doing this with the other, but I'm just going to plug it in and we're going to get it up and running and go from there. It is a little bit awkward, this bit. So take your time with it. Like, you won't muck it up as such, but they're not exactly in the easiest of spots. And sometimes it just takes a little bit of wiggling and fiddling to get it in. So very quickly, I've just managed to get that one in there. Sorry, I know the phone's going blurry. Click. So there's number one plugged into the white connector block just there. Just pushes straight in. Just a word of warning, if you ever need to uninstall this and take the cable out, don't just grab on it. Use a very small screwdriver, like a jeweler's screwdriver. You'll see on the tabs there, push the tab down, like across to one side, you'll feel it move, and then carefully lever it out. Don't ever pull by the wires, because you've got a very high risk of actually pulling the wire out from the connector, and then the cable is no good. So that is my big white connector in there. That leaves me with this guy here, which I'm going to put up in that one there. And as I said, any open port will do the job. It doesn't need to be in any specific one. Look, I generally aim for the end one just because I find it easier to install, but you do you. So I'm just reaching up in there now and it is a little hard to do. It's definitely easier when you're not handling a phone at the same time, but you know, we'll get there in the end. Now, the other thing that you can do, if you can't actually sort of see what's going on the DS, is if you remove the top glove box, sometimes that makes it a little easier to see, and it may just help guide it in so you can connect it. And we're in. So I've just plugged that in on the M1 there. I've got that one in there. I've got that one in there, and that is everything that I need to do in this part. So again, very quickly, just to recap, passenger side of the dash, there's my cable. So you can see the orange and white wire going into the white connector block there, and you can see the other one, apologies for it being blurry, you can see it there up into the green and white connector. So my work on this side is done. Now look, normally what I would do is actually route that cable in across through the dash and go over to there. Just in the interest of time, I won't do that in this video, but as I mentioned, I will actually pull the dash apart and do a step-by-step install guide. I'll take this all back out and start from scratch and go from there. For right now though, here's what we'll do. And keep in mind as well, if you've got concerns about warranty or you don't want the dealer to know that you've got one of these, this is also a good way to do it. Like, you'll still be able to plug and play and reach everything, but as you can see, you can pull it straight back out without having to pull the dash apart. I generally install them as a permanent fit, but you could do it this way and it'll still work. You can upload your changes or make your settings or clear your fault codes or whatever you're doing, and it'll work just fine, and then just unplug and put it all back together. Okay, so around to the other side of the car. So we're heading around to driver's side now. All right, driver's side, pretty basic, excuse the dirt. Now, what we are looking for here is the OBD port. Every single car has an OBD port. The easiest way to tell, there's your bonnet release, which is kind of in the middle, directly underneath your steering column there. Look over there. That's it right there. Or if you've got a Laramie or you fitted the footwell lights like I have, it's right next to the footwell light. So what you do in this part, you actually unplug the factory OBD connector. Now, it's got squeeze tabs on the side of it. And what you need to do, and look, it's not easy. This is potentially the hardest part of the entire thing just because of how tight they are. You just push one up, and you'll just see it just start to wiggle a bit there, and then it'll come out. So there's my factory OBD port just hanging right there. That's it. So that is the factory one. That's where it stays. And what the new cable does is actually comes down here, and you end up with two. So one is a female, one is a male. This one plugs in to your factory one, and that is how you end up with a spare one that you can still use and fit back in the housing. So the OBD connector itself is like a standard port. There's nothing different about the ones on the bypass cable to the one that came with the car. So that's plugged in up there. I don't know if you can see it or not. Apologies if you can't, but I've just plugged that end into my original OBD port. I now have this end open, and I could fit that back in the bracket. I won't, just for the sake of the video, but it will function the exact same way. So you're all set, you're all done, you're wired up, you're ready to go. Now, the next part of this is the OBD reader. OBD Link MX. The reason I don't sell these with the cables, by the way, is that you can jump on eBay or Amazon and get these just for the same price that I would buy them as well. So you're better off in most cases grabbing one, borrow one if you need to. I like the OBD Link MX because it's a good, solid, reliable one. You can use this to read fault codes and clear them. Just be aware that with some of the cheaper ones, you might be able to read data, as in it will pull data from the car, but it mightn't be able to write back to it, i.e. tell the car to clear the code or make the adjustment or whatever the case may be. So that's why I recommend this one. There are other guys using other ones that are working just fine, but this is the one I can guarantee that will work because it's the one that I use. So again, OBD Link MX is what you're looking for. eBay, Amazon, wherever you can find one, this is probably one of the ones to get if you can find one for a good price. You pay about $200 for these. I know it's a lot of money, but keep in mind you can use this on any car and you can take it with you wherever you need to go. Okay, so next part of the process, and again, I'm one-handed, sorry. And you'll see that it works because it will have power. So that's it. We're set up. We're ready to make changes. We're ready to read and clear fault codes, whatever we need to do. All right, so in a nutshell, that is a very, very brief overview of what your bypass cable does, where it goes and how to install it. In the next video that I do, I'm actually going to show you Alpha OBD and a couple of the things that it can do, and also where you get that from and how you can set it up and go from there.